Hey guys, welcome back to the True Broke Gamers channel. We're didn't record this once already. No, we didn't.
No.
We got a little bit far in, had an interruption, so restarting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my fault,
So
by the way.
today, a video we've been wanting to make for a couple days now, but we haven't because we've been a little occupied with a little game. You may have heard of it called Elden Ring. Uh,
Elden Ring, baby.
a few disclaimers to get out of the way here. First, I always want to mention Discord. Sometimes Ryder's camera freezes. I don't know if mine ever does. I don't notice, but sometimes that happens. But nothing we can do about it. So if you see that, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Um, we're gonna try and also keep this as spoiler free as possible.
Yes,
If you're
sir.
afraid of any type of spoils, maybe just click off. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna show gameplay. If I show any gameplay, it'll be from when me and Ryder first played that night. I recorded the first hour of us co-oping together as a memory to remember it. So we have that. So if I show anything, it'll be very early area. We didn't really do anything. So just a heads up there. But again, gonna keep it as spoiler free as possible. Yeah. So those are the two big disclaimers I wanted to get out of the way before we actually really talk about the game. But before we talk about how we feel, I'm gonna pass over to Ryder and kind of let him give a little bit of a history with us in the Soul series.
All right. So me and Ray are huge Souls fans.
Yes, sir.
Been since the beginning. Well, since at least Dark
Yep.
Souls. We weren't there for Demon Souls. We didn't have a PS3.
Nope.
That's honestly, we were 360. So our first thing with the Souls was on 360 with Dark Souls.
Yes, it was.
But we've been a fan forever. Played Dark Souls, got Dark Souls 2 when it came out, loved it then, don't love it now.
Yeah.
It's
Well.
how it goes sometimes. Got Dark Souls 3 when it released, love that. Got Bloodborne,
Yep.
kind of close to release. I got a year after because I didn't have a PS4.
Mm,
Loved it. Got Sekiro, loved it. They're all great.
yep.
So we were really hyped up for this game. And it's really funny because most other Elden Ring fans know, like if you were like looking forward to this game, that like it got announced and then there was nothing.
Yeah. We got left in
Nothing
the
for
dark.
like a year, 2 years. It was a long time of
Yep.
nothing. Then all of a sudden they just dropped a trailer at like I think it was like the summer game thing.
Yeah. It wasn't that
Uh,
even that long ago, if you really think
yeah,
about
it was.
it.
Yeah, um, yeah, and they dropped it like it was like wasn't it like 10 a.m. because I was asleep, of course.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like pretty
Yep.
early
I missed it too.
because I woke up to him on messages, dang, dang.
Yeah, dude. I
um,
popped.
so from that trailer, our hype was like went way up. Oh, it's existed. And then they kept releasing more trailers. It kept going up and
Yep.
up and up. And I'm trying to like show how high it was. It's
Yeah.
so high. More hype for this game than any game ever before.
Yep.
So that's how we went into this. Another funny thing too is I actually pre-ordered it. It's a personal story. I pre-ordered it. It said it was coming Friday. All of a sudden there was a snowstorm where we're at. It was like, oh nope, it's coming Sunday. I'm like, well, screw that. I'm getting digital.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we jumped into it that night, release day. First game I've ever personally ever jumped in on release day.
Mm,
Um, just played a couple hours. We're like, damn, dude, this could be nuts.
yep.
And I guess that's what we're going to talk about is
Yeah.
how we feel about it. So if you
Yep.
take the floor for a little bit,
So let's just all right. It's 11:30 the night before the game releases. You know, it's releasing in 30 minutes. And me and Ryder, we're in a party on PlayStation. We're ready, We're ready to play and finally the game unlocks. Bam, Elden Ring. Make your character. Great character customization by the way. I never really take advantage of it, and I know Ryder didn't this time because we probably spent about a
no.
minute and a half making our character, and it was like, all right, let me play the game. I was just like, I
Yeah,
just want to play the
it's,
game.
it's legit what happened. Yep.
So man, uh, you start the game, and the first thing that I want to talk about is just how gorgeous the game is.
Yes.
Um, and now, for anyone wondering, I am playing on the PS5, playing the PS5 version, where Ryder's playing on the PS4 version, and I can tell you, we're still having very similar experiences where he's thinking the game's beautiful, I'm thinking it is. It's running fine for him, it's running fine for me. So, one really big kudos to them is they're making this game run and look great on 8-year-old hardware.
So
That's crazy.
quick aside here, we since you just said we are playing the PlayStation version, PS5, PS4. We both heard the PC, like a lot of people had issues with the PC. We have not had any of those issues, so
Yeah, so I actually
we can
found
now
out
speak on
today.
that.
I found out today what the main issue is that PC players are having.
What's that?
It's enemies aren't spawning, so they're invisible,
Really?
but they can still attack you.
uh,
Yeah.
that's
So
pretty
you
big
so
issue.
like so like you'll be again, I'm keeping the spoiler free, so I'm not gonna name any enemies, but you're like riding around and it's like all of a sudden you just like just it's like it's funny. It's hilarious to think about, but one time if it happens one time, okay, whatever, but this is consistently happening and so
Yeah,
that I thought frame rate was the main issue, but it's invisible enemies. That's the main issue. um
that's
yeah.
hilarious. I did not know that at
Yeah, me
all.
either. I read that this morning. So yeah, anybody on PC having invisible enemies, sorry, get good, I guess. um,
Yeah.
no, but no, seriously, the game is a beautiful game. A lot of
Yes.
people were saying like, man, it just looks like Dark Souls 3, and man, Dark Souls 3 is a beautiful game too. It's a very graphically impressive game to me. I know maybe to some people it's not. I actually saw some people say that it looks like an early PS3 game. I don't really know why.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
see that
agree.
at all.
I don't see it at all.
Especially consider I literally just played an early
Yeah.
PS3 game, and it sure does not look like an early PS3 game.
Yeah, people.
So
I don't know. It sounds to me like they're just like anti-hype. They're like anti-Elden Ringers.
maybe,
I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
Um,
Like like it probably doesn't look as good as like the Demon Souls
of
remake,
course not.
but
Of
like,
course not.
but that's different. Like that game's like
That yeah.
top of the line, best
Yeah.
looking games ever. So
But I mean, you can't look at the pyros and the magic and the
no, no,
environments and the enemies and particle effects and tell me that it looks
yeah,
bad.
it's
I mean, you
gorgeous.
can't tell me. But yeah, so the game, great, beautiful looking game. Um, I everywhere I'm going, I'm going to these areas, I'm going into these caves, and it's like I'm like just looking around, like wow, the lighting, the sound.
Yeah,
I've been playing with headphones on mainly, nice and loud, and man, great looking game, sounds great, everything like that. Go ahead, you got something?
to speak to speak on like how this game looks. If you've played a lot of open world games before, you would notice that like a lot of times they have like color palettes of like brown and like gray and dark, but Elden Ring is really colorful. It reminds me of Ghost of Tsushima,
Mm-hmm.
which is another really colorful game. Which I'm really happy that they're going this route with like more color. Because before, I guess they wanted to like make it like gray because it's like, oh look, it's serious or
Yep.
whatever. But like I want to see like some color in my games,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy that like open world games are finally doing that. And Elden Ring does that. It looks like it's so bright and vibrant.
Yep.
Um, and it makes it really feel alive in the like world when you're just like riding around a horse,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, it really does.
Yes.
I especially I enabled the HDR on the PS5 and on my 4K TV, and it's like, yeah, oh man,
Oh, I'd
I
love to
mean,
see it on
yeah,
there.
it looks great. No complaints at all. But yeah, that is a very good point. That it is probably the most colorful From Software game aside from
Yes.
Sekiro.
Oh yeah.
I think Sekiro is pretty
Yes.
colorful.
Sega's pretty. Yeah.
But that game's just a lot different. It really is.
Yeah.
That's such a standoff game from them. Which leads me to my next point for Elden Ring, where you feel right at home. You feel right at home from the from Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. It feels different. It's not that it feels the
Yeah.
same, but it's an old familiar friend is really what it is. Speaking of how Sekiro is just so different, it's you know, I will say it's not where I'm not breezing through this game and like not having a hard time at all, like
No.
anything like that. I'm not saying it's like, oh, if you're good at Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, you'll be great at this game. No, maybe, but
Nope.
can't speak for everyone. But it's definitely a game that no matter how good you are at the Souls games, this one's gonna humble you a little bit,
Yes.
and that's great.
Yeah.
That was really one thing that I was happy is that the game. I'm not trying to say that to make it sound like this game is like that. It's hard. What it is, and again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's the same core mechanics, but they just tweaked and changed enough stuff, and they changed enemy
Yes.
movement just enough to where you're like, man. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna if if you're afraid of spoilers, I'm going to talk about enemy attack patterns real quick, so maybe just mute. But basically, in Dark Souls 1, they lift up their sword, they swing.
Yeah,
It's
they go
pretty cookie
like
cutter.
that.
hmm This game, they're like, do something, like roll, they, what they're just trying to get a roll out of you before they come down and hit you. They're not.
Yeah,
It's every enemy has like, and you can sit there and fight the same enemy 100 times, still roll too early, always. And it's just
I,
it's enough of a change to throw any
yes,
veteran Souls player off. It really
yeah,
especially throws off veteran Souls players because you're so used to the other way. So if you're new to
that's what I
this,
was
you
about to
might even
say.
be better off. Crazy
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, because we're used to like the old Souls games where it's like, here comes attack, attack comes. Like they really threw in delayed attacks in this
Oh
game to
yeah.
really throw off the veterans. So we're like, oh, like I'm personally constantly rolling, like, oh, he's going about roll, and like the roll, like the way they time is like the delay attack is like perfectly timed for like right when you get out of the
Yeah.
roll, that like hit you right on the head and bonk you.
And then there's attacks where like I can get 4 rolls in before he even swings. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
I mean, God, they're just like the amount of patience they have to sit there and hold, and it's like you're not gonna go in and attack while they're holding it. You're afraid, and man, this game has done a really good job of making you afraid of every enemy you've encountered. Also, that's for
oh
sure.
yes, yes, yes.
Um,
And
yep.
to speak on difficulty that you mentioned a little bit ago, that's one thing that we were worried personally about,
hmm
especially with the open world aspect, is the difficulty. Because since you can pretty much progress anywhere really at the beginning, like you can like go to the right, left, up, down, anywhere. You can end up in like a flame area. Here you can end up like here and here. And we were worried about the difficulty where we figured like they might make the open world enemies really weak to like compensate for that, but they don't.
Uh-uh.
Like they have like you go into an open world area and it's like clearly like I probably should not be here right now. Let
hmm
me go back to another one quick
Yep.
because like you can fight like a basic enemy in like this one and it takes like 2 hits. And then you go over here and it takes like 10 hits. And you're
Yeah.
like maybe I shouldn't be here right now. And like
Yep.
the bigger enemies that are in the open world will be like kick your ass on like a different side than like over here where it's just like, oh, this is just like a big enemy, but he's actually pretty easy to dodge. Then like
Yep.
over like at another place, it's like impossible to
Yep.
fight him.
No, that's 100% true. Is when you open up the game and like you're stepping for the first time, almost nowhere is off limits per se.
Yes.
And
Yep.
you can find yourself in quite a predicament early on in these areas, which is very unique because Souls games never have a set difficulty setting. You don't get easy, medium,
No.
hard. It's what normally will change the difficulty of a Souls game is weapons. If you're using a really good weapon, really bad weapon, nothing's going to really make the game like easy, but some certain things can make it easier. And while I'm on that topic, anybody that's new to the Soul series, please don't ever let anyone tell you how to play the game. If they're telling you that if you're using a shield, you're a pussy pretty much, like just ignore them. No matter how you're playing, just play. Don't listen to them. I hate that shit. I don't gatekeep anybody. Let them play how they want. If they're cheesing enemies, they're cheesing enemies. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to say that. But with that being said, you do get to pick your own difficulty. I think going no shield, if you're used to using a shield, that can really change how the game's played and kill you a lot. So things like that. So yeah, you can go up here, and you're not really supposed to be here, in air quotes. But if you do end up coming out victorious in this area, well, you might get a pretty good head start on the areas you're supposed to be in because you just got a lot of money and equipment and stuff. So, you pick your own pace, and that's really cool because other Souls games are linear. They're more linear for sure. I don't want to say they're like 100% linear, but they're definitely pretty linear games
Yeah. Very
overall.
linear.
Um, but yeah, picking your own difficulty is awesome. Going anywhere you want and constantly being like, what's over here? What's over here? What's over here? And like me and Ryder are encountering where it's like, man, we probably should have been here like at the start. Like we just like one shot this
Yeah.
guy. And then it's like you go to another area and you're like, not going here yet. You turn like I've been noticing I'll like sneak up on an enemy, backstab them, see their health bar go down like barely, and I'm like, back to the grace. I'm out. I'm out of here. Back to the bonfire. I need to go somewhere else. Yeah, so that's a really cool thing. Um, I'm
And
yeah.
another. Oh,
No, go
you.
ahead.
Okay, okay, okay. I was just going to mention like the open world aspect that like we both encountered a lot, where it's like the game kind of does like send you on a path, like it like shows you where you're supposed to go by like graces, because every time you rest at a grace, like it shows you like a particle effect, like it shows
Yeah,
you like I
a
don't know light
recommended
going to
way to
like
go.
yeah like a recommended way to
Mm,
go. But me and him both, like oftentimes will like be okay, let's go this way finally, and then like just along the path, like there's a cave, like oh no, let's check this out over here, or like you'll see like a building in the distance. Let me go see what that is. Like this game has so many like distractions of where you'll just be like, oh, what's this over here, and then you
yep,
go there, and the next thing you know, you're like way off the path that you
yep,
originally wanted to go.
yeah,
It's insane how great this, how it is like that. Where and it's like always fun. It's never just
yeah.
like I've never yet had an experience where like I'm just chogging through like this
Hmm.
tomb or like this set of ruins, like not having fun. It's like always fun to look around and
Yeah.
explore and like because every place you go to has like new weapons.
Hmm.
Like you can find weapons in the world. You can find like spells if you're like doing magic build. You can find like better armor. You can find like better items that'll help you along the way. I don't want to spoil like some of the systems in this game that it uses, like the tiers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you can like find those along the world. You can
Crafting
find like
materials.
crafting
Hmm.
materials. This game, yeah, we didn't mention
Yep.
that yet. Crafting,
Yep.
pretty big thing that they
Yep.
introduced. Never been in
Yep.
any other Souls game. I think the crafting in this game is pretty excellent too because you can like you get a horse in this game and you can just like grab materials
Oh
as you're
yeah, you
walking.
never have to
Like
get off the
when
horse.
you don't have to like get off your horse.
Yeah.
Another good thing about the horse is how quickly you get on and off of it.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
yeah, you don't have to like other games where you have to like stop. Like you have to stop, get off the horse, and it
Mm.
takes like I don't know, like 10 seconds or something to do that. This one is like 1 second. You're like right into battle. Like if
Yeah.
you want to like fight on your horse and like oh never mind this guy, I don't want to
Yep.
fight on my horse. He's like hard. Get right off your horse, go right into battle with him.
Yep.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. That's definitely for sure. And just a little quick tip. And it's funny because I haven't been watching anybody play this game per se. I've been watching people play like the beginning of the game, but as soon as they go anywhere I haven't been or mention anything, like I'm out. Um, but it's pretty universal so far that everybody puts their horse ring to call their horse on their pouch. So you hold Y or
Yeah.
triangle, um, and then pick it so that way you don't have to scroll through your flasks. So if you're having trouble with the horse and like kind of getting annoyed by calling the horse, definitely try putting it on your pouch. I think it's a game changer, and I've been seeing everyone do it. So
Yeah.
that's a recommendation I want to mention.
That's where mine is. Mine's like triangle up.
Yeah.
Just like use it every time. So
And so crafting, yeah,
yeah,
crafting.
let's
I
talk
could
about we can
let
talk
me
about
tell you why I like crafting. And again, I'll keep it spoiler free. I'm not going to mention what I've been crafting, but specifically. But think about in a game, I'm going for me personally, I'm going full strength, and which means I don't have points or anything into magic, faith, anything like that. So I'm not really using any spells or anything like that. But the crafting can kind of turn you into anything you want to be with things like throwable items and stuff like that. So while I'm not spec'd into these types of attributes and using magic, I'm not I'm not limited to not using it. Like I can use this stuff and I can craft said items to feel I can't really find like without spoiling it's so hard to say like what I want to say, but there's no mechanic that you can't get involved with because of the crafting system. That's probably the best
yeah.
way I can put it. You're not limited to anything. So, that's so far been my favorite thing about the crafting, and just overall, when you need an item, like say you're playing in Dark Souls 1, it's like, oh man, I have this status effect on me, and oh, I gotta go find these items. And this, it's like, darn, I got this status effect. Let me whip open the menu, and
Craft one quick.
of course, with that being said, you can't just craft everything from the start. You got to do your
No.
exploring. You gotta do your exploring and expand your crafting. So definitely should be checking every nook and cranny. But for me personally, the crafting is a bigger deal than I thought it was gonna be. And
Yeah.
I didn't really use it for the first day, but since I've gotten different, I would just say recipes. You get different recipes to craft more. I mean, it's a pretty generic system, honestly. Not saying it's bad, but it's a pretty generic system. So the more recipes I got, the more I'd see what I could craft, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of liking this. I'm liking this, and so yeah, I've been using the crafting a lot more.
And another thing on the crafting, for me personally, to compare it to a Souls-like game, Neo, I feel like the throwable items and items you can craft in this are a lot more useful in this game than they were in all the other Souls games. For
Mm-hmm.
like Dark Souls, if you get like a throwing dagger or whatever, throwing knife, they're like useless. They do like no damage at all, and they're completely useless. But like this one's like Neo, where like these throwing items like do a good amount of damage. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually worthwhile to go out of your way and to like craft and use. So if you're like weary of it from if you like played the other Souls games, you're weary to play this one and not use like the throwable items that you can craft. Use them because they're actually really good and they're really
Yeah.
helpful.
And I mean, you run out, craft more, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah,
beauty of it. You're never like, darn, I got to go find more. No, you just got to find the
yeah, and there's
very basic materials that are everywhere.
yeah they're all over the map. Like you'll constantly
Obviously,
just be like walking around picking them up.
and obviously, there's more rare materials, so it's like, oh, what this is gonna do for you is a really good thing because it's pretty rare and hard to find. But so yeah, that the crafting, really exceeded my expectations. Um, and one thing I'll talk about, going back to the open world, is this map is big. It's a very big map,
Yeah,
and I feel like, and again, we are still kind of in the honeymoon phase of this game, so we're kind of like not really noticing anything we don't like about it. I think New Game Plus runs are where that's where you start to realize things, like when you go back to areas and you're like, oh yeah, this area. New Game Plus will really show a game's flaws if there is any. But so far, one thing I'm noticing is the as big and open as the world is, it's not like it's just littered full of enemies, but it's like just enough to where you have your moments of you're not really running into anything, and then bam, there's something. It's like very nicely paced to where it doesn't feel empty ever, never feels empty. And I definitely wanted to touch on that because a lot of open world games will have an issue where they're just empty.
yeah. Like this game's it's not empty and it doesn't have like too
Yeah,
much
it's not
stuff to
overwhelming.
do. Yeah, it's not like you find like five caves like right around like
Mm-mm.
the same place, like all around. Like no, they're like spread out enough where it's like each time you find one, it's like awesome. Another
Yeah,
one's been like a little while, but they're not. But it's not like you're looking for like 5 hours to find something in like the open world. There's no space I found yet of like this open world map where there's nothing to do.
yeah,
And
it's
there,
wild.
there's always something to do. There's always like items to find. There's always like maybe like there's bosses or
Mm-hmm.
something. Always like the caves and tombs to go through somewhere. There's always like structures that you can explore, find something there. And this map is huge, and I
It's
don't even know the true like size of it because I've only explored. I don't know how much I explored. To be
yeah,
honest, I didn't look up like how big it is or anything.
yeah, me either.
It's like I don't think it's really that spoiler, but like you find fragments
Yeah,
around the map, like it like opens the map and like you find more like it shows like this part of the map. So like a lot of the map would be like grayed out,
uh
before you find them. So like I don't know how big this map actually is because like there's like gray spots all over the place.
to
So
give you an example of what happened was the first day, like the first full day we played, Ryder definitely spent a lot of time in the starter area where I was a little like, I was like, oh, what's next? What's next? I was kind of, progressing, and then I dialed it back. But with how much progress I made in that day, I was like, oh man, my map is pretty big, and I told Ryder, I'm like, hey, send me a screenshot of like your map fully zoomed out, and he sent me one, and I was like, holy shit, like I'm like that's fully zoomed out. He's like, yeah. So I fully zoomed mine out and I like blacked out with marker on my phone like all the places he hasn't been to, and I just showed his, and I was like, look how small it looks when I zoom out. It's like that was like an eye opener where it's like, oh, the map gets bigger. And it's like,
yeah,
wow. And I mean that made me excited. Of course, I will admit when I first launched the game and opened the map, I'm like, what is this? This isn't that big. I was like, hmm.
yeah, it kind of looks small at
Yeah, it
first.
ain't at all.
It isn't. No, no,
No.
not even close.
Um, and yeah, speaking on if you ever go to a place and you're like, like when you look at the map and there's like when I say empty, as in like icons aren't there, because you'll get cave icons and grace icons and icons that pop up when you find stuff. If you're ever on the map and you see a pretty decently sized area with no icons, you miss something. That's all
Yeah.
it is. And or it's something that you need an item for, or you need to come back to later. So I'm telling you, when you think that you've done everything, keep looking. It's that's why we're 30 hours in and have barely done anything. We feel like. I mean, when I say barely done anything, we've done a lot. We have done a
Yes.
lot. But in the grand scheme of like beating the game and doing everything, we're so far away. So again, that also makes me excited. I don't want this game to be short or small or anything like that. So just keep in mind, you're in for a pretty big game. If you
Yeah.
just speed run through the story, I don't know how long it is. I don't know because that's just not what we're doing. So we're taking our sweet time. You only get one first playthrough of each game, so I definitely, we're definitely trying to make it special.
Yeah, we
And
want to
yeah,
enjoy it.
mm-hmm.
That's we think you should enjoy it too. Don't
Oh
just
yeah,
rush through this game to say you beat it. Like, oh,
yeah,
I beat Elden Ring. I beat it. Like I'm like one of the first ones to beat it.
nah,
Well, no, you're a loser. How about you just play the game and enjoy it?
yeah. Yeah, it really is. That's what this game is. It's take it all in and enjoy it. Don't but it was like day 3 of this game coming out, and I'm seeing like Twitch titles like beating Elden Ring today, and it's like, you are like you sure like what that's it? It's like, all right, well, darn, I'm not at all. So,
No.
play to each their own. That's just not how I play. Um, and to talk about from the very beginning, Ryder mentioned how big of a Souls fan we are. Like we love the
Yeah.
Soulsborne, Kiro games. Bloodborne being my favorite game of all time. What this game feels like is they just took everything that you would love from the Souls series and they put it in the game, and I love that. And I heard a couple people, they're like, man, they're like reusing assets from Dark Souls 3, or they're reusing this, reusing that, and it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If these are what we love about these games, I love seeing it again, or doing it, and like the combat, and like it feels right at home, like I said at the beginning. And they took all my favorite things from the Souls games, and for example, I'll say Bloodborne Chalice dungeons. They're optional, but they're a chore. They're repetitive and they're boring, and I love Bloodborne. They basically took Chalice dungeons and was like, hey, let's change them, throw them into Elden Ring, and now they're like the most, like some of the coolest things
Yeah,
to
they're
do.
awesome.
If
Yeah.
you find caves, and it's like it's awesome. And so they fix things, and there's a lot of quality of life changes. Like one thing I'll mention is it's a big open world, so in Souls games you have your stamina bar. Well, if you're not in combat, your stamina bar doesn't go down. You're free to sprint forever. You're free, just things like that that I never even would have thought of before playing this game. That it's like that's important, and then you can just jump. Who would have thought in a game
Yeah.
you just jump? And it's like that changed a lot. I mean, that changed combat. I mean, you can jump over enemy attacks, which is just so satisfying. Just stuff like that. That I never would have thought
Plus,
of.
plus in this game, unlike the other Soulsborne series, you can freely travel from
Yes.
anywhere.
Yes.
They, which I keep forgetting. Because you don't have to rest at like a grace to travel to
Yeah.
another grace, and I'm so used to every other Souls game is like that where you have to go to like this like the resting spot to like travel to another resting spot, but not in this
Yeah.
one. This one you can like be anywhere and just travel to any grace you want at all.
It's definitely muscle
So
memory for us to keep resting,
yeah, it's yeah,
because like I do it too every single time. I'm like, oh, I gotta go here, rest. I'm like, don't have to do that. And it's funny because
yeah.
you can't travel from a rest zone.
You
You
can
can't.
you can't travel when you're in the rest menu. No.
And it's completely the opposite because we have a map now. We never had a map before.
Right,
Um,
it's true. Yeah, I
yeah,
never
we
think
yeah
about
we,
that.
so yeah, I mean I'll say this game has exceeded my expectations.
So far,
So
yes,
far
sir.
30 hours
Without
in,
doubt.
and I'm 30 hours in, and I'm thinking this first playthrough is gonna push. We might be talking 100 hours, 120. I mean,
Honestly, we might be.
we might be talking
Yeah.
JRPG length completion like type stuff. Um, yeah, it's long. but loving it.
This game's
Um,
long.
as far as first impressions go, to just for me to sum it up, uh, one of the best games that I've ever played. It's one of the first and only games that has like I'm only thinking about playing it at all times. I'm going to bed
Yes.
thinking about what I'm gonna do the next day. I'm
Yep.
waking popping on the TV, grabbing my controller, playing, like losing track of time. It's just I haven't had something like this in a while, and I'm not someone to get really all that. I get excited for new games, but I'm always so optimistic. Or what is the word? I'm not optimistic. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not optimistic with new games.
Pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm like I want to get excited, but I'm scared to get excited. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's what happens when you get burned too many times.
yeah, but when as soon as you see for me and Ryder, we see that From Software logo, we know we're in good hands. We know we're getting a great
Yes.
game. We just don't know how great. And so far, this game for me, great. I'm not gonna give like a 10 out of 10 or anything because like trust me, right now I'm having a 10 out of 10 great time. Um,
Yeah. I don't want to give like a rating. I don't want to
yeah,
like call it a masterpiece yet when we didn't
yeah.
finish it.
But it's I
There's
will
always a
say
possibility it, like falls, but I doubt
if you would have asked me 10 hours in, how's this game? I'd have been like, it's great. If you would have, and then you asked me at 20 hours, I'd be like, this game is fucking great. Then you asked me at
it.
30
Yeah.
hours, it's like, this is one of the greatest games. I mean, it just keeps getting better. Every 10 hours, it's like, it just keeps getting so much better. And it's crazy. And I have so many friends that this is their first Souls like game. And they're like, this game's so hard. I love it. They love it, and I'm like, that's all
That's
you need.
experience,
That's
baby.
all you
Yep.
need. You need to die to a boss 50 times with a smile on your face, like I got him next time. I learned this attack. Like you once you learn, oh, that's how I dodge that. It's game on. That's what gets you, man. So for me, one of the greatest games I've ever played, and I can't wait to jump back into it in a when this video ends. It's, I'll let
Yeah. Yeah.
Raj over here. I'll let him give his so far first impressions as well.
Yeah, I'm not calling it one of the greatest games of all time yet because I didn't finish it, but it's like honestly it's probably like top 20 best games I've ever played, and I'm barely into it really.
Yeah.
And this game might be like top 5. It might be one. It might end up being like the best Souls game,
Yeah.
see how it goes. But like just fantastic in every way
Hmm.
possible. Everything I could have hoped it could be, it is like way exceeded what I expected it to be. And I'm just every morning, man. Same thing with him.
Yep.
Every morning, I'm just like, wake up. Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta eat, man. Oh, I gotta eat before I can play. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's
Oh, I
funny.
can't wait to get it in my hands.
It's funny. We wake up and it's like, yo, you on? Yo, you on? It's like headset on, controller, flip the mic down. It's like playing, and it's like,
Yep.
all right, I'm getting off. All right, but are you gonna be back on in a few hours? Yeah, I'll be back on in a few hours. Okay, I'll take a break here too. Then come back. All right, we good? Okay, we're good. We're playing the same game at the same time, but having such different experiences. It's like, oh, have you been
Yeah.
here yet? Go check this area out. Oh, you gotta go here. There's something cool here. Because like I said, there's just so many places that I've been to that he hasn't, and vice versa. So yeah, I could ramble on for hours. I know that when we both beat the game, we will make like a final thoughts video, and I'm hoping
Yeah.
by then, that video is going to contain spoilers. That just will.
Yes.
So hopefully by then, most of you have experienced the game enough, and stuff like that. But definitely appreciate you guys watching our thoughts on Elden
Yeah.
Ring,
Thank
and
you.
I really hope that you're loving it as much as we are. If so, let us know, and yeah, let us know what class you started. I'd really like to know that, what build you're going. But that being said, we got some Elden Ring to go play, so we'll catch you next time.
See ya.